This week's Parsha, Parshat Re'eh, is also the first of a two-day Rosh Chodesh Elul. Now the word Elul in traditional societies, and even today in contemporary yeshivas, conjures up very intense emotions. Rosh Hashanah is around the corner, it's almost Yom Kippur. People start to feel the intensity and the excitement of the Yom Noraim. And the question I want to address today is it possible to create the intensity, create the vibe, the excitement of Elul Zman, even outside the context or the confines of the Daled Amot of a yeshiva? Now, this week in the Parsha, we find one of the most radical pieces of legislation, arguably in the entire Torah. The Torah says that when you get to the land of Israel, there's going to be a change. No longer will it be acceptable to worship Hashem sacrificially on multiple bamot, on various altars across the country. Rather, the one place you're going to be able to worship Hashem via sacrifice is in the place Asher Yivchar Hashem, the place that God chooses. And what's amazing is the Torah doesn't even tell us where this place is. The Torah doesn't say Har HaBayit, the Torah doesn't say Yerushalayim, the Torah doesn't say right behind Oraita. There's no reference in the Torah as to where this mysterious place that we're supposed to be worshiping is actually located. Now, what bothered the Mefarshim, aside from the question of the Torah's lack of specificity regarding the location, is the larger question of why was it so important to have this centralized place of worship? Why was centrality so critical? The Ralbag, for example, argues that this was part of the Torah's insistence on a more pure, natural form of monotheism. The idea was that when sacrifices could be offered on many places, a person could erroneously think that there actually could be more than one God. So by insisting in the land of Israel of worship in one place, the Torah highlights its monotheistic purity. And just like God is one, He only allows for one place for His worship. Another possibility that Kli Yakar talks about, the Torah wanted to stress that God is above nature. Right? In the pagan conception of divinity and the relationship between prayer and divinity, the pagans believed that prayer, or the acceptance of prayer by a god, was symmetric to where the petitioner was located. So if a person is in a forest, or if a person is on a mountain, or if a person's by a river, those locations could impact the plausibility of this prayer being heard. The Torah inverts the entire ethic and says, no, the opposite is true. It doesn't make a difference where you are. What matters basically is that you listen to the word of Hashem, you worship in a place which is above nature, which is built by something, a physical structure, which essentially is non-natural. But I want to focus on the third explanation, which I think is the most critical for us. The Hasidic tradition points out that in the Torah's formulation, description of where we're supposed to worship, it emphasizes the notion of lishichno, right? Of seeking out, lishichno tidrishu, of seeking out this place, of seeking out the space of spiritual intensity. And as I mentioned at the beginning, the Torah doesn't give any indication where this place is. But I think that's exactly the point. What the Torah is telling us is that up until the Jewish people's arrival in the Holy Land, there was a sense of a common narrative, right? A shared sense of language. What did they talk about? People talked about getting to the land of Israel. People were on the train to work, or I don't know, schmoozing at the gym. They were talking about when we get to the land of Israel, how long is it going to take to get there? Their discourse, their language of discourse was about the land of Israel. But now all of a sudden, they get to the land of Israel. It's the end of the mission. They're done. So now what are they going to talk about anymore? What is going to be their shared language that's going to inspire them towards a life of holiness? And Torah says the shared language now is not going to be the land of Israel per se. It's going to be the Beit HaMikdash. We're going to seek out this place. We're going to talk about this place. We're going to learn about this place. We're going to create a culture, a reality where this place defines our life. And that's why the Torah is so insistent on having a centralized place in the land of Israel. It becomes the vehicle, the mechanism for creating a Torah culture inspired by one centralized place, as the Sefer HaChinuch says, that inspires excitement and awe. Bringing this back to the question I made at the beginning, how do we utilize this model to create a sense of Elul intensity? Well, now that we don't have the Beit HaMikdash, and many of us are outside the land of Israel, the mediums of the land of Israel, the Beit HaMikdash, aren't always as easy to access in terms of creating a culture, a narrative of Torah. What is the solution? The solution, I think, is simple. The way we create our culture of Torah today, create our shared language of Torah discourse, is by learning Torah. Torah has become our form of centralized worship. Every Jew in the entire world can learn Torah. The Torah is accessible to everybody. And the goal is when a Jew sees another Jew on the subway or somewhere else, he shares with him what he's learning. He uses the Torah as a medium to create a language that bonds Jews together. And therefore, I think the message for us today, Parsha Re'eh, Shabbat Rosh Chodesh Elul, is to really think, how are we during Elul going to ensure that our Elul Zman is a Zman defined by Torah? I want to give two practical suggestions. The first is a learning challenge. I want to encourage all Oraita alumni to double their learning in Elul. If you learn 1 hour a day normally, learn 2 hours a day. If you learn 1 minute a day, learn 2 minutes a day. The second you increase your intensity of learning during Elul, you've created for yourself an Elul Zman within your own Daled Amos. But even beyond that, I would argue, it's equally critical to share your learning with others. On the Oraita Facebook page, there's a Nigun a Day group. I would create something like a Torah Vort per day group. The second you're not only learning Torah, but you're sharing Torah with others in particular, you are creating a narrative for yourself and for the community where Torah becomes your language. Once Torah really becomes your language, at least for Elul, at that stage you're really prepared for the Yom Noraim. Shabbat Shalom.